Alright guys, so today we're going to go into a very in-depth video explaining the Gate of Fates and how damage works. Basically what do each nodes in here do, all the major ones and the medium ones. Um, what do they do? Are they good? Are they bad? Should you take them? Should you not take them? How will they scale your damage? Will they enable you to deal lots of damage, a little bit more damage, or are they just bad in general? So it's going to be a very long video probably, and we're going to go through all of the nodes in the Gate of Fate. And first of all, I'm gonna explain how damage works in this game. So basically, you have your weapon damage, right? So I'm in an offline save file right now, so this weapon is just it's modified to deal 100 to 100 damage. But basically, you have your weapon damage gets multiplied by your skill modifier. So there's a skill damage multiplier that is hidden from the UI. You don't see it. Each skill has a different one, and it increases the more you level it up. So, for example, at level 90 is going to be the highest it can be, right? So it's your weapon damage multiplied by your skill damage multiplier, and then you multiply that by your stats, attributes, bonus damage, and then you get the first layer of damage, as I like to call it. Your first layer, which is stuff like projectile damage, melee weapon damage, all your gear that has percentage damage, material damage, elemental, occult damage, spell damage, all these things, they're all the first layer of damage. What people often call additive damage. So that's your first layer. Then you have the second layer of damage, which is Immortal Offering. Immortal Offering, Residual Energy. You've got Undertaker. You've got Waltzing Smoke, Beacon for the Lost. You've got all this Cerebral damage from the last spell cast on your rings and stuff like that. I don't know if I can find one in here. Probably. Okay, this one. Attacks gain 15% additional damage as a damage type of the last spell cast during 5 seconds. This is a vanilla ring, but it's the same. So this is the same bonus as residual energy. And then you got the skill damage bonuses as well. So some skills have something like this. Using Annihilation grants a buff to the damage type dealt by the skill. So this will increase your damage by 20% of the second layer of damage. So you see this one here, Annihilation bonus. You've got some stuff like Consuming Embers that also has it. You've got Dusk Shroud, and you can basically look at all the skills and see if they have one node like this that increases the damage. Basically, Winter's Grasp is the only one that only increases it by 10%. It has no animation to cast, but you only get 10% of the second layer of damage with this one. Wings of Ishmir gives a damage buff to you and your allies when landing in the area of effect. And there's another one, gives a damage buff per enemy hit. So this bonus per enemy hit is only 5% of the first layer of damage. And this one is 15% of the first layer as well. So it is much worse than other skills that increase your damage. Like Thunderstrike has one that is 20%, 20% of the second layer. There is Infinity Blades has one, 20%. Flight of Gavenier, 20%. Dusk Shroud, 20%. Consuming Embers, 20%. And Annihilation, 20% as well. So all of these can increase your damage of the second layer by 20%. And then you have all the true multipliers. So the true multipliers are stuff like Frenzied Blows, which doubles your damage. You got Acute Tracking, which can increase your damage by up to 50%. Disallowing Vessel, 30%. Sparking Dart, another 50%. So these are all true multipliers. Each one of these will multiply your damage as a whole. So you can get 50% here, 30 here, double damage, 50 up here. So these are real true multipliers. Dawn Pierce Striker, 10%. So a 10% execute is pretty much a 10% multiplier as well. Which time can I heal? 15% if you take both. So enemies take 15% of your damage after a small delay. Very good. 15% true multiplier. Then you got stuff for auto attacks with like Virtual Stance when you are in probing weakness, which can double your basic attack damage. And then you have Cessation. Your fourth basic attack combo deals 500% additional damage. So this is also with basic attacks. So this is a real true 500%. So basically that's it. You got weapon damage times your weapon damage, skill modifier, stats, and then the first layer, which is projectile damage, melee weapon damage, material damage, stuff like that. Second layer, which is residual energy, elemental offering, and all the other ones. And then all the true multipliers, like double damage, 50% here, stuff like that. So that is how you scale your damage. Basically, you want to get as many multipliers as possible. Oh, I forgot one that I also include in the true multipliers, which is Mark of Impurity. Mark of Impurity is also a true multiplier. 20% for the mark, 5% here, 5% more here, 10% more here. And then you have the curse stacks. Curse stacks are also a true multiplier. So when you have max ailment stacks 10, this is for one stack, you'll get 5% increase. And for all 10 stacks, you get 14%. As you increase the number of stacks, so if you have a maximum of 30 stacks, then this number will be higher. So weapon damage times your skill damage multiplier times your stats times your first layer of damage, your second layer of damage on all the true multipliers. So that's how it works for damage. Okay. So now let's go in depth into the Gate of Fates. We'll go over every single big node and medium nodes. All the small nodes, guys, all the small nodes are all part of the first layer of damage. Even this one, damage increased by 0.15 multiplied by equipped shield block chance, brutal imposition. This is also all, we call it additive damage, which is part of the first layer. And yeah, basically all the small ones are like that. Let's go with, starting with here in the Scholar tree. Purifier's Will. Basically, when your force shield is full, damage taken is reduced by 30%. But this only applies if your maximum force shield is greater than half your maximum health. So pretty self-explanatory. Thirst for Knowledge. 25% force shield restoration from health globes. Whenever you grab a health globe, you'll get 25% of your force shield back. Attrition Strategist. 30% ailment chance score. Basically, ailment chance, you've got a score for this, which you can see in your detailed stats. For example, actually you can't see it here. Actually, you can't see it, but okay. So this is a percentage, but works on your score. Okay, we see it here. Spell ailment chance score, which can be increased. You got a flat value, which translate into a percentage afterwards. So you can increase that by having flat values on your pieces of gear. Just like you can have passive dodge chance score, which is a flat value, and dodge also, and then it translates into a percentage dodge when you have a flat value of dodge. So this is the flat score, and then it gives you a percentage. So this will give you 30% of your score, of your flat score. So that is it for Scholar Tree. Sentinel Tree. Increases your dodge chance passively, get 100% more passive dodge score after being hit. It will double your passive dodge score when you get hit. Pretty self-explanatory as well. You gain 3 stamina points when reaching 30% maximum health, 30 seconds cooldown. And increase your attack and spell casting speed, 6% attack speed and spell casting speed. This is a flat value. Since the first Chronicle, it does not work with a score anymore. So agility and attack speed, you get flat values added. So this one will just add 6%. And then the Soldier Tree, second wind. Trigger your health regen when your health is low. You get a burst of health regen when your health is below 30%. So if I remember correctly, this one, when your health is below 30%, you need to have health regen. So this will not give you this will not magically give you like 5,000 health regen if you have 0. You need to have health regen first, and then you will have a big burst of that health regen. You regen more rage when you are hit. 25 rage per hit taken, self-explanatory. And increase the 30% critical chance score. Same thing for the other ones. This will increase your flat score, as you can see here. Well, okay, I have a pretty interesting item here. So it will increase your flat number here by 30%. All right, let's go into the Cabalist tree. Cabalist, Immortal Offering. Okay, this is one of the best damage increase you can get. Still in Chronicle, even though it has been nerfed. Um, we most of the times we take this in any build. There are a few builds that maybe won't use it. Stuff like I saw a very nice sniper build which used Death Gazer Railgun to pretty much one-shot anything, and you actually don't have to use this. But okay, let's see how it works. Receive a damage buff when killing an enemy affected by elements. When you kill an enemy, you increase the damage type corresponding to each element stack on that enemy by 1%, up to 10 stacks per damage type. So how this works, uh, you need to inflict an element on an enemy. So for example, you inflict Toxic on an enemy with this. You inflict Toxic, and then you kill it. If when he dies, he has 2 stacks of Toxic, you will get 2 stacks of Immortal Offerings, and you will be able to see a buff here on your buff bar. So for every element stack that enemy has, when you kill it, you will receive these stacks as Immortal Offering stacks. These stacks increases your damage by 1% per stack, and they can stack up to 10 per element type. So at max, 10% per element type, and this is a buff of your damage in the second layer of damage. So it's a huge buff. It's a huge buff. You can have maximum 7 stacks of 10. So 70% if you can inflict all 7 elements. The thing is that freeze element stacks, so freeze don't actually stack on mobs. You can only freeze them or not freeze them. So they don't get stacks of freeze. So you will never get Immortal Offering stacks of freeze. So when you get these damage increase, they will add to your damage as that damage type. For example, my Havoc Orb right now only does physical damage, but if I would get some Toxic stacks of Immortal Offering, then I would get physical damage and 10% as 10% added as Toxic. If I would get weakness stacks, I would get 10% as weakness stacks, as weakness damage here. So this is basically how it works. It adds to your damage. It does not only increase the damage that you deal of that type, it will add that type of damage to your global attack. So very powerful. Power of the First Man. When you inflict an element, there's a chance to double the number of stacks applied. Self-explanatory. This one is often used with these two here to get a 100% chance to double your element stacks when you inflict one. Grievous Afflictions, always used with Immortal Offering, pretty much always. You can now inflict 2 different types of ailments at one time. So with each attack, it will take, for example, your 2 highest damaging types, and then it will deal that those ailments to the enemy. So I don't know if I can show it like so. Say for example, okay, here I have my global damage. Rend damage is really high, and lightning damage is the second highest. So it will deal rend and lightning stacks, so bleeding and shock stacks to enemies, because these are my 2 highest hitting damage types. If I had more damage types, it will only select the 2 highest to inflict the ailments. So this is how Grievous Affliction works, and it synergizes very well with Immortal Offering. And then Insidious Decay, +1 ailment stack applied, self-explanatory. If you inflict 1, it will inflict 2. If you would inflict 2, you would inflict 3. But then again, actually no, 2 would be 4 because this doubles, but alright, you know what I mean. Ailment stacks applied with a critical hit deals critical damage. This is actually not true. So Primordial Insight is the description is not correct. So damage over time applied with a critical hit deals critical damage. So you will see If you apply an element with a critical hit, you will see your element ticking with yellow numbers. But that yellow number is only double the damage that your element does. So it does not scale with critical damage. So I would not call it critical damage. It deals double damage. So this does not work like it is written here. It should be you should read damage over time applied with a critical hit deals double damage. That's it. So rip element builds. Rip element builds. Okay, in Assassin Tree now, your dash has more chance to deal a critical hit. Critical chance of your dash is double. This is complete garbage. Never use it. Um, increase your critical damage. 30% critical damage multiplier. So this is very important if you want to do a crit build, which pretty much all builds that deal damage will try to scale crit of some sort. As far as I know, I haven't seen a non-crit build yet deal good damage. But yeah, if you're building for crit, this is a must. 30% critical damage multiplier. Convert a percentage of your physical damage into toxic damage. 50% physical damage converted. So all the conversion nodes, I haven't seen any use for them. If you can find a use, like good for you. I haven't been able to. It doesn't double dip into the percentage increase in damage. So if it doesn't double dip, then there's no point in using them, I believe. Uh, I mean, you could always prove me wrong, but I have never seen anything, any build using these. Active dodge can go through enemies. This can be nice if you want to. Deal increased damage when only one enemy is near you. 20% damage. So this is part of the first layer of damage. So it is much worse than anything that is in the second layer of damage. So this is like what we call additive damage. And to the next. Praetorian Tree, Sacred Oath. Apply weakness to enemies when you block an attack. This can be very nice to use with Immortal Offering if you don't have any other means to inflict weakness stacks, and you still want to have the Immortal Offerings. If you use a shield, for example, so you apply 2 weakness stacks upon blocking. This one, Blessed Mana, so you get 40% all res score when you pick up a health globe. Self-explanatory. Plus 10 additional block efficiency, minus 15% damage multiplier. The minus 15% here is huge. It's a real damage multiplier. So you get 10% efficiency at the cost of 15% of your damage. Shields build have been nerfed a lot in Chronicle 1. So if you want to, you can grab it. But keep in mind, this will reduce your damage significantly. Selfless Courage. You get 25% all res score for you and your allies on block. Can be good for tankiness. Increase your damage based on your physical res, but reduce your critical damage. So you get the minus 50% critical damage multiplier, which is huge. It's huge. And you get only 0.75% damage per percent of physical resistance. But that 0.75% is part of the first layer of damage, which is additive. So it is really terrible. It's a terrible node. Unless you go, like I said, for a non-crit build, which I haven't seen any build go for non-crit, but prove me wrong. Warlock Tree. Resilience to Corruption. Your damage over time, the damage you receive over time is dealt to your Force Shield before your health. For Force Shield build, this can be very good. Leech Force Shield instead of health with Life Leech. This can be very good as well. So if you're going for a Force Shield build, this should be your go-to. 50% spell critical chance score while willpower is above 75%. This is pretty huge. It's not a flat 50%, it's their spell crit chance score, so that flat value, but it still will add a lot to your crit chance. If you're at about, if I remember correctly, if you're at about 70% crit chance, this will increase it to like 76, I believe. Residual Energy, a very nice one to take when you are looking for an attack build damage bonus. So all of your attacks, so not spells, all right? So all of your attacks, stuff like Wings of Ishmir or like Wailing Arrows are attacks, and Annihilation are spells. So you get 15% additional damage as the damage type of the last spell cast. So if I would cast, for example, Aether Jump, and I would want to cast my turret afterwards, if I cast Aether Jump, then my turret will gain 15% of its damage as additional Aether damage because my Aether Jump is Aether damage. So basically that's how it works. It is part of the second layer of damage, and it is very good. Usually, you can also get some rings with this, like this one. It's the exact same buff. You can also get the Max 15 Anorak, which has the exact same buff as well. All part of the second layer of damage. Increase your maximum rage and willpower, 200 to your max rage and willpower. Always grab these two nodes if you want to have even more. So that is it for the Warlock tree. In Rangers, save from afar. Projectile damage scale 30% with distance up to 15 meters. It used to be much better. It used to scale up to much higher than this. Since the Chronicle 1, it scales to 30% to up to 15 meters, and it's additive damage, part of the first layer of damage. Pierce enemies with projectiles. So your projectiles pierce every target within a 6-meter radius. 6 meters, I don't know the exact range, but it is quite close to you. It is quite close to you. I considered using it. I tried it. I did not like it. Maybe you would, but I don't think it is worth taking. You were better off just getting some plus pierce on your rings, amulets, or belt. Meditative focus, 25% damage when no enemies are within 6-meter radius. This is additive damage, part of the first layer of damage. You can get 15% more here, and minus 2 meters. Archon's Teaching, launch an additional projectile, but decrease each projectile's damage. So you get a minus 20% projectile damage multi, but you get one more projectile. So this is worth to take for all the projectile skills that actually benefit from the +1 projectiles. So turrets, it does not work with turrets. I would not take it if you're going for only a turret build. But stuff like Havoc Orb, certainly take it. You're only getting minus 20%, but you're getting a 100% buff. So really good, because you're doubling your projectiles. Increased damage to enemies that have impaired movement. So this is also part of the first layer of damage, which is additive. In the Warmonger tree, 1% damage per 100 remaining rage point. This is also additive damage, part of the first layer of damage. Converts a percentage of physical damage into rend, and all these nodes here that converts to physical. All the conversion nodes, I would not recommend them, honestly, since it doesn't double dip. This one will give you a 10% material damage multi, but you can only deal material damage types. So keep in mind, you can only deal material damage types. This won't work with Immortal Offerings. This won't work with Residual Energy if you're trying to get some bonus damage from there. So I would still not recommend this one. It might be good in some certain situations. I could see this being okay for the 10% material damage multiplier. But since most build will go for stuff that boosts your damage with Immortal Offering or Residual Energy, whether it's here or on your rings or stuff like that, this one becomes less and less good. Feast for the Crows, 0.5 global life leech, really good if you just want to sustain and you have no life leech anywhere else. Keep in mind for the life leech, you can always socket gems into your chest, pants, and stuff like that, or you can have life leech on your weapon and at other places. If you don't, you can always grab this one. So this is it for the second ring. Let's go for the third ring now. Proud Reprisal. When you block an enemy attack, you deal 300% weapon damage to this enemy. It's 300% of like basically your basic attack damage. So it's not that good. It's really not that good. Pugilist Momentum. But you can use this though to inflict ailments on enemies. So to get some Immortal Offerings. So blocking will inflict Sacred with this node here. And then you can inflict probably another one or two other ones with this one. It is something that you could test to get even more Immortal Offerings for free. Pugilist Momentum. Your fourth weapon combo has a special effect depending on the weapon type that you are using. So these are all pretty self-explanatory as well. And this one, Cessation, it's 500% additional damage. It is a true multiplier. Really good if you're going for a auto attack build. For example, dual pistol or staff with that special amulet that makes your basic attacks are considered as spells. It can be really powerful. Virtual stance. Um, this one gives you access to 2 stances. You get a probing weakness and stalwart resolve that you can change between each of those by doing an active dodge by just rolling like this. Okay, so in the probing weakness stance, reduce your all res score by 25%, but give you a 75% chance to double basic attack damage. Can be really good. The Stalwart Resolve stance reduces your attack and spell damage by 15%. That's actually not true. It reduces your attack speed, attack speed and spell casting speed by 15%, but gives you an additional 15% block and block efficiency. That's how this works. For the Time Weaver, captured velocity. Um, When you hit an enemy affected by stasis with an attack, you get a supernatural point, and then when you hit an enemy affected by stasis with a spell, you get an earthly paradox point. You can have a maximum of 5 points, and the point resets after 5 seconds. These points will give you either spell casting speed or attack speed, whether it's a earthly point or a supernatural point. So it's just for attack speed. Dire Juncture, one of the best tanky nodes in the tree. So you will only take 40% of the initial damage when the enemies hit, and then the rest is dealt to you 1 second after the hit. So this basically lets you life leech some life a little bit to like separate the damage, or grab a potion or whatnot, heal yourself. So this is a very tanky node. Used in most builds that actually want to face tank stuff and be tanky. Which time cannot heal? A true 15% multiplier when grabbed with differential wounds. So it will inflict 10 or 15% of your damage 1.5 seconds after your damage hits if the enemy is in stasis. So stasis is applied by Aether damage. Very easy to apply with Aether Jump and Void Paralysis. So this can be a free 15% damage to your overall damage, since this is a true multiplier. Exorcist tree, Blessed Silver. So basically you get 1 point of anointed ammunition every 2 seconds, and when you have these points, each point gives you 10% projectile damage, and when these points are empty, you get 10% melee damage. So whether you use projectiles and melee, this is a very good node. It is better with projectiles, since when you grab this one, when you do a critical hit, you get 1 anointed ammunition points is refilled. So basically you can pretty much always have them full and get the 50% of the first layer of damage, which is additive, but you always get it, so it's really good. Academic Fieldwork, this one was nerfed in one of the recent patches. When you kill a champion or a boss, so these are the mobs that actually have a break bar under their health bar. So it's not just when you see a blue mob or a yellow mob or something like that. The mob has to have a break bar under his health bar to be considered as a champion or a boss. And then you get 1 headhunter point that gives 20% material damage per point. The points reset after 30 seconds, and this one makes it 40 seconds. How this works is if you have 1 stack, and then after 20 seconds you kill another one, it refreshes the entire duration of the whole stacks. So you get 2 stacks with a new duration. This can be good if you're going really fast. For example, if you're doing untainted runs super fast, you can always keep it up. It can be good, but usually I don't recommend it, because since the nerf, the 40 seconds is too short for to keep it up. Branded Burst, another really good node for glass cannon builds mostly. So if you go Branded Burst and you have enough damage to kill everything instantly, you can pretty much ignore all defenses on your build and just concentrate on offense. So this is the ultimate glass cannon node for tankiness. You get up to 5 tenet points that refills every 2.5 seconds, and when you are hit, it consumes 1 tenet point. Those tenet points will reduce your damage taken by 20% when you get both of these. So 20% times 5 is 100%. As long as you have all the nodes, you take no damage from your first attack. Keep in mind that dots do eat through all these points, so you don't want to get dots on you when you have this, or you're gonna be super squishy. Child of Fury, Blistering's Embrace. So when you apply 5 burn stacks on an enemy, your next hit on them will have its damage increased by 10% per consumed stack. This is additive damage, part of the first layer, and it can be good if you can inflict, like for fire builds, I could see this being very good. That inflict lots of stacks, but I haven't been able to make it work very, very well. But I can see it have potential. I can see this having potential. Flaring Flames. Basically, this will increase your attack speed and life leech per each Unleashed Fury points, and you will get a reduction in all res score per Unleashed Fury points. And you can go past here to get even more attack speed and more life leech. This will passively regenerate rage instead of willpower. So passively, like now, you only regenerate rage, willpower. If you take this node, while doing nothing, you will get rage instead. This one is always taken with attack builds because you want to get this one here. Frenzied Blows. Skills have 100% rage cost when rage is over 750, but they deal double damage. So you want to keep your rage above 750 at all time, and as long as you're above 750, all your attacks, so Havoc Orb, stuff like that, not Consuming Embers, which is a spell, only your attacks, like Death Gaze or Railgun, they will deal double the damage. And it's a true multiplier, super, super good. A must-have for attack builds, I would say. And then you have Oracle of the Trinity. This is a very disappointing tree. Elementary Destabilization. When your willpower is below 30% of its maximum, you have a 20% chance to cause an explosion around you when you use a skill, dealing a random elemental damage based on 20% of your maximum force shield or health, whichever is highest. So and the explosion regenerates some willpower. The only thing I could see this being useful for is getting a little bit of willpower back, but even then it's not worth it. This will increase the damage to 30% of your max health or force shield, whichever is highest, which is super low, by the way. Don't count on this to deal any type of significant damage. Omni Tempest. Elemental skills can trigger spells. Okay, by the way, guys, what I'm talking about here is for the end game, so 163 plus expeditions. For leveling, you can use pretty much whatever you want, and it will probably work. But I'm talking for real end game builds now. Omni Tempest. So elemental skills can trigger spells based on their damage types. You can launch a meteor with fire, a frost lance with frost, and a chain lightning with the lightning skill. They deal 100% of your weapon damage each 5 seconds, and they are terrible. Never use this. It is just complete trash. I mean, it can be good when you're leveling up. It can do something, but for the most part, it's complete trash. Gain a cord based on the element damage used to increase damage, critical chance score, or element chance score. So you can have bonuses that are called accords. Fire trigger Abzanar's accord, and that gives you 20% damage. That 20% damage is additive, part of the first layer of damage. Frost triggers Ethereal Accord, and it gives you a 50% element chance score. And then the lightning, you have 50% critical chance score. So all these scores can be, I mean, it can be okay. It can be okay, but I would say that there are probably much better nodes that you could go grab somewhere else other than taking this. This one makes it so that 2 accords can be active simultaneously. I never use this, and I probably never will. Can I see this being okay, for example, in element, if you want more element chance for a Frostweave build, for example, and critical chance score? Maybe. I mean, I'd have to test with a Frostweave build, but yeah, we'll have to see. Intravenous Neural Cord. Increase your attack speed on critical hit. So 10% attack speed multiplier during 3 seconds on critical hit, and then you can go even further here. It can be good for attack speed builds. Sparking Dart. Okay, another really nice one. This is the true multiplier. So device and lightning skills can be increased by up to 50%. 50% when you have all your power charge point. So basically you generate 4 power charge per second, and basic attack will refill those power charge as well. And then device and lightning skills will consume 10 power charge points each time you use them. So stuff like turrets are devices. Um, stuff like Death Gaze or Railgun is a device as well. But you can also use lightning skills. So this one, just like this, Thunder Strike is a lightning skill. Um, so it can go up to 50% true multiplier for device and lightning. Static Transferal, part of the first layer of damage. Basic attacks generate 1 overload point up to 6 points. Each point increases damage by 5%. So this can go up to 30%. This can go up to 30% of the first layer of damage, which is additive. And using a skill consumes all overload points and deals double damage. So it does not deal double damage. It deals double the damage bonus on when you use the skill. So the most important one here is the first sentence. Gain overload point basic attack to increase damage and double the damage bonus, not double the actual damage. Okay, very important, guys. So this can be 30%, 30% additive, or 60% when you have all your points. And then you have the Siegebreaker tree. Siegebreaker. You gain 1 fortress point every 1.5 seconds, and you can have up to 10 fortress points. All points are removed when you block. You get 4% block chance per fortress points, pretty self-explanatory. And you can go here to get even more block. Disallowing Vessel, another true multiplier, guys. Super good. I mean, I don't really like it because you get less movement speed with this one, but it is 30% true multi for less movement speed, so it's pretty nice. So staying stationary allows you to gain 1 inexorable point every 1 second. You can have up to 10 inexorable points. Moving removes 1 point every 1 second. So when you use this one, let me actually show you here. Okay, you will get these points here that go up and down as you move or you stay stationary. But with Blade Storm, you can still move. Okay, I don't have... Let me just grab something to dump my willpower. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna grab this one. Okay. So as you can see, teleporting around does not remove those points. Moving around will remove them. But using Blade Storm will not remove them. So you could be hopping around or using Blade Storm to move. And so right now I'm super slow because I have no gear with movement speed, nothing like that. But you can actually make this go quite fast with stuff like Dusk Shroud and stuff like this that increases movement speed for a short duration. Then you can go with Blade Storm, move around, you still get your 30% damage bonus. And then you can move and stop somewhere, cast your attacks, kill the mobs, and then move around again with Blade Storm. This is a little trick. Blade Storm won't remove your disallowing vessel points. Even if you're moving, rolling will not remove them as well. So only when you're really walking around. Super powerful, 30% true multi. And then you have the crowd's favorite for tankiness as well. So Salvatory Anchor along with Dire Juncture. Two of the best ones for tankiness, honestly. You gain a buff depending on your chest armor type and on your helm armor type as well. So you get 0.3 health regen for every health point on Bruiser. On Heavy, you get 0.5 of the armor piece all res score to your all res score, so it gives you a tremendous boost to all res. On Rogue, on Passive Dodge, you regen health and Force Shield equal to 2 times the health value. So this is the most powerful interaction here. If you have double Rogue pieces with double health rows on them as well, you can be like almost invincible. Each time, so you grab this and then you get some dodge. and you can also grab this 100% passive dodge chance after being hit, and you will regen so much health with Salvatory Anchor, the note past it, 2 times rogue pieces. So you want to have a a helm as a rogue. All right, sorry guys. You want to have a helm as rogue and a chest as rogue with double health rolls, so flat health and percentage health with Salvatory Anchor, and you're gonna be super tanky. Sorcerer will give you 4 shield regen for every 4 shield point. So the most powerful interaction here is the rogue for sure. On to the next, Plaguebringer, Toxic Emanations. Apply a poison stack every few seconds to an enemy around you. Self-explanatory, it will just inflict poison stacks to enemies around you. Sacrifice of Flesh, reduce your health and force shield to improve the defenses of your summons. So basically your health is reduced by 20% and your force shield as well, but all your summons take 25% less damage. Good for summons build. Undertaker. This is another of the second layer of damage. When you kill enemies in a 20 meter radius around you, they have a 10% chance to drop green globes. Picking up those green globes gives you a 30% damage as poison damage per green globe during 5 seconds. So each globe have a separate timer. You can stack them up to an infinite amount, but they do still have their separate timers. And when you use Undertaker, you always use it with increased awareness here. Plus 15 additional radius for picking up health globes. So this will not only increase your health globe radius, but your globes in general. So you'll be picking up every green globe that drops all the time on the screen, increasing your damage without even having you to pick them up. So super, super good. It's a 30% as a second layer of damage. So it adds to your total damage. And then the note past it is very misunderstood by the community. So summons that die in a 20 meter radius. It's important here. Summons that die have a 10% chance to drop green globes. Picking up those green globes that drop from the summons. Okay, this would be an important thing to note in here. It's only picking up the green globes that dropped from the summons that give you an additional 30% damage as poison damage per globe during 10 seconds. So people usually say, hey, this is only 5 seconds and this is 10 seconds. Maybe we should grab this one as well, so it would increase the duration. But no, it is only the globes that drop from the summons. And by summons, I mean it does not work with like summoning a ghost to deal your weapon damage after a few seconds. This does not work with this. It does not work with mobs that summon mobs. So those are not summons. It is really just with your summons that die. Stuff like Liver Mortis, which is a summon. Feeding Swarm, summon. So only your summon spells. Okay? Still Undertaker with increased awareness. Super good for if you're going fast, killing things fast. Mobs die all around you. And you'll just pick up everything on the screen and just keep moving and get the tremendous damage boost. Okay, Duskglaive, Life's First Movement. This one basically, each time you cast a spell or an attack, you gain 1 point either of Lure of Light or Lure of Darkness. And so, if you're in Equilibrium, when you have 6-4, 5-5, or 4-6 points, your attacks gain 30% of spell damage bonus, and your spells 30% of attack damage bonuses. So how this works, to make it easy, let's say you're in Equilibrium, and then your attacks gain 30% of your spell damage bonus. If you have 100% spell damage, you will get 30% of that as attack damage bonus. So for every 100% spell bonus you have, you will get 30% attack bonus. It is part of the first layer of damage and very hard to keep, and I would not recommend this one. Waltzing Smoke. When using an active dodge, it makes you invisible for 5 seconds, and the next skill you use will remove the invisibility and gets you 30% damage of the second layer of damage. as shadow damage with a 12-second cooldown. This used to be nice with Bladestorm, so you would roll and then start Bladestorming, and it would snapshot this damage buff. But it has been nerfed very like in the past in vanilla, and now it is 30% as shadow damage of the second layer of damage. Tethered Shade. Damage enemies and leave a decoy with your active dodge. So your active dodge damages the enemy and leaves a decoy at your starting point during 1 second. The damage from this is ridiculous. It's just terrible. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. So don't use this for the damage. When your decoy explode, they deal like super low damage. So I would never recommend this. Okay, EOS tree. This is an interesting one. This one is actually the only one I did not test. You have to be in multiplayer. In vanilla, it used to not work. So if you want to play co-op, maybe try it. It might not work. This is the only one I haven't tried. It might work as well. I don't know. Didn't try it in the Chronicle. So this will res your teammates when your health is below 30%. Beacon for the Lost. This one is a multiplicative one, so it's a part of the second layer of damage. When your force shield is above 50%, you gain 25% sacred spell damage, and you can get 35 with this note here. So you get 35% as sacred spell damage added to your all of your damage. And then when your force shield is below 50%, you get 25% sacred attack damage. So if you're dealing damage with spells, you have to keep your force shield above 50% to get the buff. If you're dealing damage with attacks, you have to keep your force shield below 50% to get the buff. I don't like this one for attack builds because you have to get hit to actually lose some force shield. You actually have to have force shield. So only works if your force shield is above 0. So all you need to have is one piece with force shield on your gear. You just need one piece with force shield. Do I have one here? Okay. As long as you have force shield, your force shield can be 0, like completely drained, and you will still get the bonus damage from your attacks. It like that sentence here only works if your force shield is above 0. Only means that you need to have some force shield, some maximum force shield. You cannot. It won't work if you have absolutely 0 force shield. You just need to have some. But even if it's depleted and it's at 0, it will still get the damage bonus. So 35 of the second layer of damage with the 2 notes. Dawnpure Striker, true multiplier, will kill enemies at 10% of the max health. They will kill them instantly. You will see a big lightning bolt coming down from the sky. And then this one will also apply to champions and bosses as well. So very good. When you use this one, I really like to have Immortal Offering stacks with this, because if you just have one weakness Immortal Offering stack, you will automatically deal sacred damage with all of your attacks, right? Attack spells, whatever. So you will always have that sacred damage to execute. So very nice to have when you have weakness stacks of Immortal Offerings. Fatal Pact. I would love this one to be good, but it's not. Okay, let me explain here. When you inflict ailments on enemies, you will receive. You will also, those ailments will also be applied to you, and upon reaching 10 stacks, it removes them and give you a buff in there. So stasis stacks will give you 25% movement speed to you and your allies within a 5-meter radius during 7 seconds. The thing is that stasis stacks actually slows you. Okay, this is what stasis does. Then you get the movement speed boost, but then you're also still applying stasis. So you get a movement speed, but you also get the reduction in speed. So it's pretty terrible. Curse stacks apply to you as well. Will make you take a lot more damage, like a lot more damage. Curse, remember guys, curse stacks are a true multiplier of damage. When you are cursed, you will most likely die. Okay. They give you 30% all res, but the debuff is much worse. Weakness stacks give you 20% increased damage of the first layer of damage, But weakness stacks make you lose damage. You deal less damage when you have weakness. As soon as you get the buff of 20% and you get a couple more weakness stacks, you start dealing less damage than if you just would not have anything. So it is terrible. And damage over time stacks restore 10% of your maximum health and force shield. So that's okay. But Fatal Pact, terrible node. Never use it. Okay, this one. Significantly increase force shield and reduces health. Double maximum force shield and health cannot exceed 5% of maximum force shield. And you can go to 15% here. This is good for force shield builds, but I don't see the use for force shield builds when we have stuff like Salvatory Anchor and Dire Juncture or even Branded Burst to give us our tankiness with other stuff. Occult Affliction, you deal an additional 2% occult damage to enemies per curse stacks affecting them. So this is a 2% occult damage is additive, part of the first layer of damage. You can increase it to 3% here. So this can be good for occult builds if you're still pushing for damage and you feel like you need more damage. You do need to get those curse stacks inflicted very quickly, and I would say use this one if you also go for maximum element stacks in the Cabalist tree and the Time Weaver tree for the maximum element stacks. So you can stack to 30 stacks, 30 times 30, so 30 times 3 would be 90% damage as the first layer of damage. In White Arrow, you got Wintry Hail. The projectiles that can't pierce anymore bounce and inflict additional frost damage. So basic attack projectiles bounce up to 2 times in a 10-meter radius, and you get 30% additional damage dealt as frost damage to projectiles that have bounce, which is part of the first layer of damage. And this one can add 1 more projectile bounce. Acute Tracking is another new one, which is True Multiplier. So while in combat, you gain 1 cold-blooded points every 2 seconds, and you can have up to 10 points. Each of those points increase your damage by 5% per point. So you can get up to 50% True Multiplier, but if you get hit only once, then you lose all your points altogether. So if you have like a lot of damage, I like to use this with Arctic Spear. So basically Arctic Spear, always on the move, always going fast, and trying not to get hit, and this can increase your damage by up to 50%. I mean, even if it's just 1 point or 2 points, it's going up, right? So 5% True Multi, 10% True Multi. So it's still very good. And then you can change the interval between gaining cold-blooded points by minus 0.5 seconds. Hungry Stalactite, increase the projectile damage based on its remaining pierce. You can get more pierce by getting here, Puncturing Shot. You can get pierce with rings that have +1 projectile pierce strength. You can get this on Amulet, on Belt. So basically with these two, you get 30% of the first layer of damage as for each pierce. So for each pierce remaining, you get 30% damage. Pretty good. And we're back to Proud Reprisal. So this pretty much sums it up, guys. So to sum it up, how does damage works? So your weapon damage times the skill multiplier damage. So each skill has a different skill damage multiplier. Times your stats, times your first layer of damage, times your second layer of damage, times all the True Multi, which are Acute Tracking, True Multi, Disallowing Vessel, Sparking Dart, Dawn's Pierce Striker, Witch Time Cannot Heal, Frenzied Blows, Virtual Stance for auto attacks, Cessation. You've got also Curse Stacks, True Multi, and you've got Mark of Impurity, True Multi. So these are all. These are all the layers where you can get more damage from, and this pretty much sums up. Oh wait, yes, part of the second layer of damage also all the skills that I forgot to tell. So temporary buff to as additional damage of its damage type. So these are part of the second layer. So that pretty much sums it up for the Gate of Fates guide. So this was very in depth. Um, I believe I went through everything and like talked about the major combos like Undertaker with increased awareness, um, Immortal Offerings as weakness with Dawn Spear Striker, stuff like that. So that is pretty much it for today, guys. I thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.